and welcome to Buncey Cast number 9, and it has been another very interesting week in the Premier League. Thank you very much for returning and listening to number 9. We're nearly at the first milestone of number 10. Anyway, getting into the game, Fulham were at home at Craven Cottage to none other than Watford. And going into the game, we started off with Marcus Bettinelli, Timothy Fosu-Mensah, Alfie Mawson, Callum Chambers, Ryan Sessegnon, Stefan Johansson, Kevin McDonald, Jean-Michael Seri, Luciano Vietto, Alexander Mitrovic and Andre Schürrle. And that as a starting 11 looked a lot better than what we went in with last week. So coming in we had Fosu-Mensah for Cyrus Christie. We also had Chambers in for Odoi. The midfield three stayed the same and so did the front three, and we did retain Marcus Bettinelli's number 1 position. So going over performances, Marcus Bettinelli I thought once again was the standout performer. I'd probably give him a 8 out of 10 overall. Timothy Fosu-Mensah, I didn't see too much of him, but I would say probably I'd give him a 7 rating. There's definitely room for improvement, but he didn't do a lot wrong. Alfie Mawson didn't have the best of performances, but it is far too early on into the season to be judging Mawson. He's just come back from injury. I've seen a lot of negativity towards Mawson. Trust me, he will be staying in this Fulham side. He's very talented, great individual player, and just because he's had a couple shaky games, he has just come back from injury. He's getting used to the way we play. I think hopefully we'll play him on the left-hand side so he can carry on where he left off from the last few weeks. But it's too early to be having too much negativity towards Alfie Mawson. Callum Chambers, I don't think, again, had a very good performance. I would probably give him a 5 out of 10. Ryan Sessegnon, again at left back, I would much rather have Joe Bryan, because as much as I love Sessegnon, I think he is more of an attacking minded player. I think he's much better as an attacking left winger, and I don't really want to see him at left back too often. I would much rather Joe Bryan, but once again, Joe Bryan not even on the bench yesterday. Very interesting that was. Stefan Johansson was one of the least good players in the side as well. I'd probably give him a 4.5 out of 10, and I am being quite harsh with these ratings. So 4.5 out of 10 for Johansson. I think that a lot of the time he does seem like a very championship player. Definitely not a Premier League starter, but he is only just coming into the Premier League. It takes time to adjust to this level. We don't have much time for him to adjust, so hopefully in the coming weeks, if we do continue playing him, hopefully he can improve. Kevin McDonald, again, didn't have a fantastic performance, but overall I will give him a 6.5 out of 10. I don't think he did too much wrong. He has good leadership qualities, and once again he proved that. Jean-Michael Seri was a little bit quiet yesterday after not a very good performance against City, but he was quite quiet today. And overall I will give him a 6.5 out of 10. I think again there's definitely room for improvement. He is a fantastic player, don't get me wrong, but against Watford, not fantastic. Luciano Vietto did assist the goal to Mitrovic. More on that in a little bit. However, Vietto I will give a 6.5 out of 10 also. Again, I believe there is room for improvement from Vietto. Maybe we could have Sessegnon up there next week, but it does seem that Slavisa Jokanovic does not like Joe Bryan, and I'm really not too sure why that is. However, Vietto against Watford, 6.5 out of 10. Great assist, he took it past their player beautifully. And moving on to our number 9, Alexander Mitrovic got his goal. I will give him a 7.5 out of 10. I don't think it's any higher than that, because there were things that could have been done better, but he did get the net nestling at the end of the day, so that does increase his rating. Good to see him on the score sheet again. Obviously a lot of us were happy to see that. And moving on to Andre Schürrle finally, I think that again, room for improvement, but he does have good star qualities, and overall I will give him a 6.5 out of 10. So going into next week, I would like to see coming into the side, now this will come as a surprise, but I would say Callum Chambers out, Odoi in, and that is because when Odoi came on off of the bench, he was absolutely fantastic. Now, it was surprising that Mawson was the culprit to be taken off the pitch, because I thought that Chambers was probably performing a bit worse than him, personally, from where I was. However, Odoi came on for Mawson, and I thought that Odoi proved a lot of negativity wrong. I think that by no means is he going to be a long-term Premier League starter, but at least for now, while we wait for Tim Ream to come back into the side from injury, I think that maybe if we're not going to play Le Marchand, which I still believe we should be playing Le Marchand, then if we're not going to do that, then I believe we should have Odoi. We've seen Chambers and Mawson now. It doesn't really work. Perhaps it could do if we left it how it is. But especially for now, I don't think there's a lot we can really do with those two as a partnership. And I would like to see Odoi coming back into the side next week if we're not going to play Le Marchand. Long term, I definitely think that our back four should be Joe Bryan, Maxime Le Marchand, Tim Ream, and Fosu Mensah. Now, that Le Marchand could be Alfie Mawson. I think it'll be a battle between the two. But I really rate Le Marchand. I think he's very good, and at least we have him on the bench. So if someone got injured, we have that backup, and that is key, because during our transfer window, there were a lot of fans which weren't too sure if we were going to get the backup that we needed. But I think that with Le Marchand, he can play left back or centre back. I prefer him at centre back personally, but that is fantastic backup to have nevertheless. I would like to see Anguissa coming in for Stefan Johansson next week. I don't think that he is suited at the moment to the Premier League. Coming off the bench around the 70th minute, fantastic. But for now, I'd like to see Anguissa. I think that we need to give him his time to adjust. And maybe against Everton, that could be the time to do it. I would like to get a result from Everton. However, it is a very tough place to go. And realistically, I would be very happy with a point. And Anguissa, I will hope he will come in. I think Kevin McDonald will retain his place, as will Jean-Michael Seri. We are obviously waiting for Tom Kearney to come back from injury, which will be great because there is a lot lacking in that midfield without Tom Kearney. And I'm very much looking forward to that coming back. However, up front, maybe Sessegnon over Vietto. However, Vietto is doing not too bad. He's not quality, but there is definitely room for improvement, and I think that he will improve over time. Obviously, we don't want to be making too many changes, but Mitrovic and Schürrle, I'm pretty sure, will stay the exact same. The only way I could see either of them coming out of the team is if Andre Schürrle was to be taken out for Floyd Aite or Abubakar Kamara. That would be the only way that Schürrle would be losing his spot against Everton, because we never know with Slavisa Jokanovic what we are going to do. And I will touch again upon Joe Bryan. So we signed him on deadline day. Aston Villa very close to getting him, was the rumours. Apparently Steve Bruce following on in his car. A story that I will always find funny. Joe Bryan signed on deadline day. Now, is Slavisa Jokanovic not too happy with the way that we handled that? And obviously a lot of our signings did come in on deadline day. Does Slavisa Jokanovic feel it was rushed? Did he want Joe Bryan? Did he want the owners to sign Matty Targett? And that is something that it remains to be unanswered. I think it will be answered in January, because there are some Fulham fans that think that we will sign Matty Targett from Southampton. However, I do think that Joe Bryan is, he had a very good start to the season. I don't think he deserved by any means to be taken out the side. I think it's stupid. Obviously, Slavisa Jokanovic is a brilliant manager, but why not play a player just to prove a point? At the end of the day, all that matters is result. Play the best player that can play in that position. If you're not going to do that, then there's just no point, because we need to play the best players for each game. And if we're going to keep benching or not even putting him in the side, Joe Bryan, then I think that is just absolutely stupid. And it is a bit disrespectful to the owners that spent the money to get him in the club. And I am sure that we will hopefully be seeing him feature again soon. I do think that when we move to the 4-2-3-1 or 4-2-4, however you look at it, formation, that we did improve massively in the second half. Once again, it was a week of two halves. And it's frustrating to see, because once again, within inside 2 minutes, we go 1-0 down. And defensively, it's just not good enough. Communication is a massive thing in the Premier League. And if we can't even get that right, then we're just not going to progress. We need to start keeping clean sheets. By no means is it Bessinelli's fault. I rate him. Now, I also rate Fabri and Rico. However, at the moment, Bettinelli is the right man for the job. That is what I think. That is my opinion. But Bettinelli is pulling off some fantastic saves. There's no denying he is a very, very good shot stopper. That is why England came sniffing. And it's very frustrating. We need to get this back four sorted sooner rather than later, because otherwise teams are going to exploit that as early on as they can, just like Watford did. And once again, we had to come out in the second half and really battle to get that point. And it was brilliant. Obviously, it did come off in the end. Mitrovic got that goal and nearly nicked it in the final few kicks of the game. He was very unlucky, actually. Great saves from Ben Foster. However, we would have been very lucky to get full 3 points, because I don't think that we had a winning performance there. Obviously, it was good. We did play some good football in the second half. Spells of last season's football back in the Championship, the way that we play. However, it's not good enough. If you're a side that's going to come into a game and, I mean, potentially we could have been 3 or 4-0 down in that first half. And we did give silly balls away in the second half as well. If we're going to keep doing this, then we're not going to get results and we're going to find ourselves in a relegation battle. However, I don't think we will come to that. I think that we're still going to finish around the 15th mark. Obviously, I did predict higher at the beginning of the season. I think I was very taken back by how much we were spending, the football we play. Obviously, just coming off promotion, I don't think we can really be aiming too much higher than 15th. Obviously, I would very happily take 17th. Just staying in the league would be an achievement, and then we can progress and build off of that. And I do also want to touch upon the referee Martin Atkinson from yesterday, because there were some very, very controversial decisions, obviously, for both sides. I think that Fulham should have had a penalty. I think that Watford probably should have had a penalty. I think that Fosu Mensah's tackle on Troy Deeney, I think that he was probably quite lucky to get away with a yellow there. I think that if VAR was in that game, then it probably would have been a red card for Fosu Mensah. That's my opinion. The way I seen it from where I was stood in the ground, I thought when that tackle went in, and that was his game over and done with. I am actually quite surprised that Fulham finished the game with 11 men. I wasn't too confident that was going to happen. But overall, just a really terrible Premier League referee performance. If you're a Premier League referee, you need to be getting these decisions right. And obviously, players do dive all the time. So there is that you need to consider. However, for penalties, I think that VAR needs to be introduced sooner rather than later, because players, it's so frustrating. Defences know the danger of Aleksandar Mitrovic in the box, and they tackle him down. So many times during the game, we'll see him being manhandled and nothing gets done about it, because referees, they just say to themselves that maybe Mitrovic is milking it a bit. But when a player has his arms wrapped around Mitrovic, I'm not being funny. If they had their arms wrapped around me, they wouldn't be getting away with it. And it is just so frustrating to see. I hope that next week we can see a bit different. Obviously, it would be lovely to see Mitrovic back on the scoreline. However, going into next week, I think that changes we need to make will be Callum Chambers out, Odoi in, and obviously the other ones that I discussed as well. But that is the main one. I think that I would like to see Odoi in for Chambers. I think Mawson should retain his spot, but I would like to see him back on the left-hand side of centre-back, because that's where he's been playing well. And it is too early to make a judgment on Mawson. So that will be it for this week, and I will be back with Buncey Cast number 10 next week after we are away at Everton. Thank you very much for listening, and obviously go to my website and the podcast will be on there along with new articles which will be updated weekly. That is bunceycast.wixsite.com/bunceycast. Very long website name. Head on over to there, have a look and enjoy. Thank you very much, and goodbye for now.